He goes, am I funny or am I just the fat, stupid guy?
To me, that's a tough clip because I am the fat, stupid guy. Hey, everybody, I'm Chris.
I'm Bret.
I don't know if many people know Jim Breuer's, but he was on the SNL cast back in, I think, 95 to 98.
Okay.
Did some stand-up comedy, some things like that. I think
Did
still
he have
does.
like a famous character in SNL? Or was he known for anything particular? 'Cause I'm struggling to remember him, but that didn't mean a lot.
He's kind of one of the loudest, funny. He like kind of has very good facial expressions, things like that. Some loud, yeah. You'll see his facial expressions in some of these clips.
And I might recognize him more if I...
Yeah.
Anyway, what's...
You saw some of his stand-up. So somebody interviewed him and just asked him, because Jim Breuer's a Hollywood guy, and just asked him if he's seen anything like demonic in Hollywood. Because I don't know much. Actually, I don't know much about Jim Breuer, but this clip was very interesting to me because he's talking about how there's some demonic things that go on, but it's not the overtly pitchfork like, oh, the devil is in it. It's just kind of like people that are so selfish and self-centered, and how nobody says anything to them because it benefits them for this person to kind of be crazy. And the person he's talking about in this interview is Chris Farley, who, again, these are older people. I don't know if you youngins out there know who Chris Farley is, but Tommy Boy.
They need to. Tommy Boy, the van down by the river skit, which I think was one of the greatest Saturday Night Live skits ever.
The Chippendales. That's one of the memes that go around of him and his like little tuxedo thing. But very physical comedian, hilarious guy.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and so, but Jim Breuer was talking about how, like, when he was on SNL, Chris Farley hosted, and so everybody's like, "Oh, you're gonna love Chris Farley," because Chris Farley hosted SNL for a while, not hosted, but he was a cast member for a while,
Right?
And so, so people like the cameramen, like the people behind the scenes, were like, "Oh, you're gonna love Chris Farley." Like he used to go do Catholic charity work and do all this stuff, and so when Chris Farley shows up, he's like, "Yeah, he's a great guy, but there's obviously a drug issue going on in this guy's life," and so. So he's like, while he's hosting this week, Chris Farley calls him. And so this first clip is him of Chris Farley calling him while he's at his home, and Chris Farley's having a party and invites him over. So here's here's a little bit of that phone conversation.
Right.
And he goes, I want to go in the bathroom. Hold on. He goes into the bathroom and he shuts the door. This guy's making $10 million. He's coming out with Tommy Boy 2. He's the love of everyone's life. Before he showed up, cameraman Johnny, Jim, Chris is the most beautiful person. Oh my, he goes to church. This is before he showed up. And now this guy, who has all these writers, all these people, all these teams around him, asks me, hey man, am I funny? And I'm like, what? He goes, am I funny or am I just the fat, stupid guy? Am I just the fat? Be honest, Jimmy. I went, no, you're Chris.
So that, to me, that's a tough clip because I am the fat, stupid guy. No, because that was something for me, like that was a struggle because I was the funny guy. I am still hilarious, but that was,
Never forget that.
yeah. So, well, I mean, we've been in ministry a long time together, and so early on in the ministry days, I dressed up a lot. You had me dressed up on stage as Death, the Easter Bunny. I was like a lot of
the funny guy is Death. It was a great move.
Yeah, because when the great reveal, was like, oh, it's Chris. But I feel like comedians, and we've talked about this on this channel before, is just there's kind of this darkness sometimes to comedians of they present well, but there's this, do people like me for who I am? And so how have you seen that play out, like either in your own life, because you've been a pastor for a number of years, and sometimes as a pastor, it's almost that kind of thing. Like you have to present well to the congregation. And so how do you be authentic? How do you be real, but still preach and still exude?
Yeah, because there is the upside. I think comedians and preachers and others that do most of their stuff on the platform, a lot of times it's pretty classic. They can be very shy people or whatever else, because that's a controlled environment. like just going to a party and just kind of striking up conversations with strangers and have it be entertaining is kind of hard to do from that perspective. But if you can set up something, and Brian Regan talked about that, the comedian Brian Regan, he said at parties people will be surprised at how much he does not interact at all. And he said, well, it's not like I gather everybody up in the living room and start my routine.
Yeah.
Because you have time to plan it, you can think through it. And a lot of times they say it's also a deflection mechanism for if you do struggle with whether it is being the fat guy or just the dull guy. It could be anything that you feel is wrong with me. Sometimes a way of dealing with it is to beat people to the punch, and trying to be funny about it and all that kind of thing. So absolutely, I've had that kind of thing before. Sort of it's easier for me to perform on a stage than sometimes it is in a living room. So.
Yeah, and that was one of the things for me. Like, it was tough kind of getting into college and kind of getting near the end of my time in college, like looking around at like the friendships I'd made. A lot of them were just kind of surface level. Yeah, they would come to me when they needed a laugh or whatever, but there wasn't any depth to some of those relationships. And now some of my best friends are from my college days, but there was like a larger group around me because I was an improv comedy group. I was the homecoming king at my college, which still makes me laugh.
I'm just finding this out.
Yeah.
Maybe I knew it before and forgot.
No.
But way to go.
I
never was that at my college.
And so I had this level of popularity. It was a small Christian school, so that's
so was mine. Still didn't make it. Yeah.
but I remember, like, okay, yeah, a lot of people knew who I was and would come hang out with me, but when I needed somebody like to really talk to, I didn't have a lot of that. And so for him to be, the setup for that clip was they were in Chris Farley was at a hotel party and inviting Jim to the party. Yeah. Jim's like, no, I'm good. And he's like, well, let me ask you this. And there's still that insecurity of like, who's Jim Brewer to Chris Farley? He's like, he's got this Tommy Boy 2, which I don't think ever came out. Was there a sequel?
Yeah, he said that. I don't remember that.
Yeah, and so he's making $10 million. He's got all this stuff, and he's like, I need approval from somebody. I need something around me. And so he said after the SNL, after Farley hosted, he said he was going to go talk to him, and he's like, I went to his table. He's like, he had all these, he called them gremlins. He said he had these gremlins around him. They were just the people that were telling him what he wanted to hear. You're the best, all this stuff. Because they were benefiting off of it. They were in his movies and they were part of his crew. And so that's where, so he kind of gets into this. He's like, that's where the darkness is. He's like, it's these people that are just benefiting off this guy that aren't really asking him the tough questions. And he said there were several moments while he's hosting, he's like, what's happening? He's like, he brought prostitutes into like the writer's room one time. And they're like, he's like, what is this? And like, yeah, they're prostitutes. And he's like, why are we allowing this? Like, why are these things going on while like you all are just ignoring this? And so then here's where I don't know what his relationship with the Lord is like. He might be Catholic or whatever, but he has this interesting moment where he said he felt something from the Lord. And so that's what we're going to look at in this clip right here.
Call him. I could not shake it.
They're supposed to call Farley.
I could not shake it. For a week straight, my instinct kept saying, I need to talk to him right now. I swear on my kids' lives, this is true. On my children's lives, on my father's soul. And that,
I believe you.
And I want people to know this is inside you. This is much more powerful than what comes out of here and from your government and from all the people you're trusting in your lifetime. You just got to give it time to breathe and listen to it. That's part of the noise issue. You got to turn the noise off. And you will become empowered once you can tap into what God designed you to be. And literally, I finally listened, and I called my manager. I said, hey, man, I can't stop this feeling. I need to talk to Chris Farley. And he went, yeah, man, I'll get something. You want me to relay a message? I went, no. I feel like he needs someone to be brutally honest. He needs to hear from me. I want to talk to him. I really want to talk to him. Okay, man. Now, he doesn't get the number right away. And the show is off for the week. And I'm kind of waiting. This goes on every day. I call back 2 days later. Hey, man, can you get the number? It's really important. I feel the urgency worse and worse. This is my gut feeling. This is months later. This wasn't like 3 days later, wasn't 2 weeks later. This is months later after he hosted. Out of nowhere, it just boom. It hits me, and I can't shake it. And then finally, they said, all right, I'll get your number by the end of the day. All right. He doesn't get it. He said 100% in the morning. And then the headline says, Farley's dead. Now, could I have changed that? Only God knows that. Do I feel guilty from that? No. His path was whatever path and designed, other people's path or design. But what that did for me, I didn't mean, not that I didn't mean, no, I want to go this way. This is how I truly feel, and I don't like hiding this stuff. What I truly felt was God going, the next time I tell you, don't listen to your favorite Republican. Don't listen to your favorite Democrat. Stop listening to this one and this one. I gave you the tool. It's right there. I told you. Now, I'm not mad at you for hesitating, but don't ever, ever question that again. And
That's powerful stuff. I mean,
yeah, you better believe it.
It was interesting to me. They said he didn't feel guilty for that. I mean, I think at first he
Well,
might
I
have.
thought I'd feel super guilty.
Well, I think if he wouldn't have acted on it, but he
did try to.
Yeah,
act
he
on
said
it.
it'd been a couple
absolutely. He
days.
just blew it off. Yeah, because I've had not something quite that dramatic, and certainly not anybody famous, but I've had that kind of thing happen before. Absolutely. Or just kind of feel a sense of you need to contact this person, engage with this person, and when I have, it went well, and when I didn't, that.
Yeah,
absolutely. I don't know about you, but I do feel guilty about it. But I get what he's saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's those moments kind of you're like, is this from the Lord? Is this something that I need to kind of, and man, because the interview is pretty fascinating. He kind of goes all over the place a little bit, as you saw in that clip, but it's like, okay. But because he's talking about it from this spiritual warfare standpoint.
Right.
And I think a lot of times, one, it's weird to hear it from Hollywood people. Like, no, he's like, I watch this, but he's like, it's not this evil thing, but it's like, you can tell that there's just a darkness in there.
It's the thing we do get wrong about evil sometimes. And I've seen kind of accusations that Hollywood is made up of, the black hoods and sort of the ceremonies. And,
Yeah.
and maybe that does happen. Maybe there's evidence, but even if that's true, the more evil things are just that. And that's why the New Testament actually spends more time on that. It acknowledges spiritual warfare, but it acknowledges that it's self-centeredness and pride and all those things of just, the backbiting and all that kind of thing that is a lot more destructive and a lot more evil. I guess that's what he's getting at.
Yeah. And so, but to say like, hey, I could have maybe had some difference in this guy's life, and like, maybe he would have listened to him, but you do wonder sometimes, okay, how do I know if this is from the Lord, or how do I know if this is just me like making it up? So how have you?
Yeah, well, that's the question, and there's probably enough time to go into how do you know. But if it's just an individual that I feel like I need to reach out to, and it's not really, I will typically do that. Sometimes I'll text someone and said, hey, I was praying this morning and you came to my mind, seeing how you're doing, da, da, da. And some people go, oh, thanks, that's really thoughtful. And other people go, wow, oh my goodness, and that happened to me just last week. There was just someone I reached out to just because of that. It wasn't even heavy. It was just like, hey, I'm going to let them know I'm praying for them. And oh my goodness, God saw that you were, they were able to say that. And so the more simple stuff I'd go for, like getting a hold of someone you knew, to me, that even if maybe it didn't end up being God, it'd have been a nice gesture just to say, hey, I'm thinking about you, man.
Yeah.
You just keep coming to my mind. Or telling the story. Man, for some reason I can't, my mind, you okay?
Yeah.
And
probably
is God.
And I like that he said he kind of pushed it off at first, and he's like, it just got stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, I called my agent. Agent's like, oh, I'll get, he's like, no, I need the, like, it was this urgency that he kept feeling. And so, yeah, I think
that's a way to know when you kind of can't get on with your life and other
Yeah.
subject matter. You ought to just go ahead and do it, especially as something that's very simple and helpful regardless. I mean, Chris, hey, I'm thinking a lot about you. Oh, well, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Or it may have been very dramatic. You don't know what God was going to do. So that's super interesting because I was telling you before we came out, I read a thing somewhere, and I think this is true or close to accurate, that Chris Farley, on the night that he passed away, was in a hotel, I think it was in New York, and he had a prostitute with him. But apparently he begged her not to leave. And his last words anybody ever heard him say were, "Please don't leave me alone." And she walked out the door, and then he OD'd there in the room. And so that he was feeling that. And someone who got there through all his talents and was literally alone in the world.
Yeah.
It's awful.
And that's where it goes back to the spiritual warfare thing. I think it's like, it's this darkness of, I'm alone. Nobody really likes me. I'm just the story he told himself was, I'm the fat, funny guy, and nobody really cares about me. And maybe Jim Brewer called him up and be like, hey, I really care about you. I'm thinking about you. Maybe it'd have been that push in the direction that he needed. And so, yeah. So as you just said, like, if there's somebody that's been on your heart, or somebody that just like, because what Jim said in that is like, God puts that in us. He puts those things in. It's the Holy Spirit speaking to you. And so call those people up. And as we had this conversation this week, somebody came to mind. I was like, I'm going to text them. And then I haven't. So I'm going to text that person after this.
Do that right away.
Well, yeah, I was praying.
It can be that simple, though.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not dramatic, but sometimes it can be for them, especially. Because we've all been, I've had that, I've been on the receiving end of that. Somebody just, I don't know, for some reason, I just want to encourage you, man, when I really, really needed it. And it feels more than just the person. It feels like God is seeing something that they don't see. And that's, I think, maybe could have happened with Chris Farley. He needed to hear that something else was going on besides just the people around him and the gremlins or whatever else. So
yeah, and you and I kind of explore this a little bit more in our NF reaction video to his
that kind of thing in there. Yeah,
where he's wrestling with the what matters in life, and so you could check that out. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.